it is Saturday, May 23rd at almost noon. I have my husband John here. I'm going to lead him through a yin practice, just a 25 to 30-minute practice, and I'll explain everything that I'm doing, so if you would like to, you can duplicate this at home. So I have him started in Shavasana, just on his back. The cats are very curious. We don't typically do yoga in the living room, although it is something we've talked about incorporating into our lives to feel better and to get a workout in without having to travel into town, which is where all of our normal workout places are. But just as in any other practice, if you're not familiar with yin, it's a more slow, deep, meditative practice, but you'll still start on your back in a Shavasana, grounding. So first thing, just in any yoga practice on your back, start to notice your breath as it lands in your body. You don't have to change it at all. Just notice if it is quick or slow, deep or shallow. Notice how it feels as you draw it in through your nose, down the back of your throat, through your chest to your belly, and how it feels to send it all the way out again. Notice the sensation of the floor beneath you, always there to support you as you lie, stand, balance. And in a yin practice, pretty much lie in one position or another. If you have any thoughts lingering through your head, acknowledge them and allow them to pass on by. If you could soften or melt any further into the floor, allow yourself to do that. Going to present my favorite spinal focused yin practice, moving the spine in all of the directions. First shape is going to be a banana pose, which if you are familiar with a half moon pose, arms overhead, tilted over, it's basically the same thing on the floor, maybe a little bit hard to see him do it as he is lying down, but I'll have him first shift both heels over to the right. Keep your hips pinned in place and then shift shoulders also to the right to create that curved shape along the left side of your body. Arms can go overhead, they can remain alongside. You can find opposite elbows overhead. The cats are, I got my yoga props down for the first time in a while and they're exploring them with their claws, so that's what that noise is. Very calming. I typically would have a student stay in this shape for about 2 minutes or so. Other options for modifying besides what you do with your arms, you can also cross your ankles, either over the other if that feels good, just an option, don't have to do it. The thing about a yin practice is, since you're in the shape for so long, it can take some time to really settle in. It's not like a flow practice or a hatha practice where you're only in a shape for probably only as much as about 30 seconds. So you don't have too long to really settle in and you want to get to your edge right away. When you have time to settle into a shape, you can just go in a little bit at a time. And as soon as it becomes a struggle to breathe, it means you've gone too far. About halfway through here. And whereas a hatha or a vinyasa style practice is very muscular, a yin style practice is more about your structure, fascia, the connective tissue in your body, your bones, tendons, ligaments. Those tissues take a little bit longer to register the stress you're putting on your body. Up to, as little as 90 seconds just to start. So any shape you're in a yin practice, you'll be there for at least 90 seconds, sometimes up to 4 or 5, even 7 or 8 minutes, depending on your practice, what shape it is. Some of the bigger body sections, like your trunk, for example, once you become more advanced in your practice, you may stay in a forward fold for, seriously, 7 or 8 minutes. When I went through my training, my teacher would just forget how long we'd been there. And speaking of which, about time to shift back to center. I know there's a cat there, she's fine. Sally. Making sure you're okay. Take this time between shapes to rebound. It's not an immediate shift from one shape to the next, so you can take this time to wiggle fingers, roll your ankles, roll your wrists, wiggle your toes, maybe even hug knees to chest. Anything that feels good in your body to kind of bring you back to baseline. Sometimes when you've been in these stretches for a long time, your body can start to feel a little bit achy. And once you feel ready to move on to the other side, that's what you'll do. Shift heels over to the left, keep your hips in place, and shift shoulders also over to the left. Our cats like attention. So, another key component of a yin practice, as I mentioned before, it's about bones, tendons, ligaments, not about your muscles. It is a natural instinct, a reflex to tense your muscles to protect your bones and joints. So as you're in this practice, as you lie here, you will naturally start to build tension in your muscles. So it is up to you throughout this time that you're here in the shape, not only to breathe, but also to consciously soften and relax your body. Helps to scan up repeatedly from the tips of your toes, along the arches of your feet, through your calves, thighs, through your belly. Remember to breathe calmly, deeply. And if you feel any tension, let it go. About 45 seconds left here. And if you are bringing yourself through one of these practices, you don't have the aid of a teacher to help lead you through, you can set a timer on your watch, a soft timer on your phone, just to remind you how long to be in these shapes. And I'll offer recommended time periods for each of these few shapes that we're going through. And then once I get my website put together, I will also list as a reference my very favorite yin book that I use as a teacher to come up with my sequences and to also kind of script what I'm going to say to my students. Go ahead and shift yourself back to center. Move in any way that feels good to you. Again, to bring yourself back to your baseline. And in your own time, when you feel ready, flip yourself over onto your belly and prop yourself up in a sphinx pose. And so sphinx, I like to keep students in here for about 4 minutes at a minimum, just because, like I said, the trunk is a bigger part of the body. It can take longer for those tissues to start to adjust to the shape, but I'll offer modifications when we get to about the halfway point. Even now, even in this first iteration of the shape, there are ways you can alter the depth of the bend at the base of your spine. You can shift your hands, arms forward to make it a little bit less, or even shift them wider. That is another option. An adjustment I like to offer as a teacher is to step on my students' feet very gently, just toes to the center of the arches. My heels are just before the toes, so it's really just the balls and the toes of my feet, giving a little foot massage. And I pretty much always get really good feedback on this. And I say, you can go home, ask your friends to do it for you, do it for each other, a little foot massage. Foot on foot massage. And even here, continue to breathe. An exercise you can add into a back bend is a little bit of a retention of breath at the top of your inhale. So say you inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, then you would hold 1, 2, 3, 4, then exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Helps to get the energy to cycle through your body, helps to keep you focused on being in the shape, being in the present. And I think I mentioned before in one of my other videos that what I really love about my yoga practice, what I've learned from it more than anything else, is just a bit of self-awareness, noticing how I feel in my body in certain situations. And then you can make the decision to consciously change how you are holding yourself or how you're breathing. I hold my breath when I get tense a lot of the time. A lot of people do, or maybe you clench your jaw. But the more you spend time allowing your consciousness to be in your body, the more you can make those adjustments as your life goes on. So I think we're about halfway here. Options for adjustments, things you can do to deepen the back bend if you would like. I usually just say to try one thing at a time because both or all at a time can be kind of a lot. So one thing you can do is to kick your feet up, bend your knees. That will deepen the compression at the base of your spine. And you don't have to do it if you don't like it. You can try it. If it doesn't feel good, you can let it go. Another thing you could possibly do, and honey, you don't have to do if it doesn't feel good, is to straighten your arms, bring yourself into more of a seal or high cobra pose. Also, since this is a yin practice, this is supposed to be a passive back bend. Stay soft in your belly, unclench your butt cheeks, and it's also okay to drop your chin down to your chest. It doesn't have to remain lifted this whole time. So about under a minute left here. Soften through your shoulders, draw shoulders away from your ears, and again, breathe fully into your belly. Release your legs down to the floor, release chest down to the floor. Arrange your arms in any way that feels good. You might stack your palms. Bring forehead to the backs of your hands. Can also, as you have done, extend your arms long to your sides, gaze in either direction. Breathe fully into your low back. And again, some achiness may have arisen during that shape. Movement or stillness, either can help them dissipate. Something that might feel good here is to kick your feet up, sway them side to side. Might release any tension you have in your low back. I mentioned that this is going to be a spinal focused yin practice. So before we do anything in a forward bend type shape, we're going to do a twist first. So offering an open wing, and honey, if you need to shift to the left or right, you can do that. Maybe extend right arm out toward the chair over here, and then press into your left hand to roll up onto your right side. can stack your left leg on top of the right or step it over. And keep your legs long on your mat though, so yeah, there you go. Here. So yeah, just as you were, and this can either rest here or you can bend your knee and step it up like a little kickstand. There you go. Focus of this shape is a twist through the shoulders for the most part. Everyone will have a different range of motion. Another option for this shape is, instead of arm long, is to have a goalpost arm, and that will be more of a stretch of the chest. With the arm extended straight out from the shoulder, it is more of a stretch through the front of the shoulder, through the bicep, less through the chest. In this shape also, about 2 minutes on each side. So I will sequence a twist between a back bend and a forward bend always. It's a lot to go all the way back and all the way forward. Twists neutralize the spine. And again, don't have time for more than just these few little spinal shapes today. And as you're here, continue to breathe long and calm. Focal area for this stretch is through the right shoulder, right bicep. Of course, exerting some effort into that left arm to hold himself in the twist, that's fine. That's not the target area of the stretch. So remember, I talked about how one of the key components of a yin practice is to keep your muscles as relaxed as possible, so you really get that stretch through your shoulder tendons, ligaments. And it's not really a stretch, it's more a lubrication. So you may notice when you wake up in the morning, I'm gonna go have you roll back to your belly here. Just take a moment there, breathe. Maybe wiggle your fingers, roll your wrists. And there's no rush, but whenever you're ready, you can set yourself up on the second side. So you may notice in the morning you wake up and you feel stiff and creaky, and especially as we age, that becomes more of a tendency in our bodies to dry up and shrink. It's very important to remain hydrated, drink a lot of water, but also this kind of exercise helps bring that hydration throughout your body. It lubricates those connective tissues that would otherwise dry up and shrink. One of my teachers like to call it good maintenance, like brushing your teeth, just something you do every day. These long, deep stretches allow your muscles to relax, allow your bones, your structure to take up this tension, because if you don't use that range of motion, you will lose it as you get older. Very sensitive area is at the base of the spine and through the hips. There are so many teeny tiny little bones and joints that are at a danger of becoming fused as you get older if you don't use them. So things we take for granted, like sitting and standing without any assistance, become near impossible, if not completely impossible. Just over halfway here. And you may find as you're moving through your practice, you have more range of motion from one side of your body to the other. That's common, actually, not just normal. It's just it's not unusual. And you may find you need a bigger stretch from one side of your body to the other. And it's up to you to know that. I don't know how you feel. All I can do is offer suggestions options, modifications. I'm used to teaching in a hot environment, and so we would use blocks and straps, but not really bolsters, blankets, things like that. Since we're home in the living room and room temperature gives the opportunity to kind of incorporate some props if we need. All right, go ahead, roll back to your belly. Big breaths, any movements that feel good. Down to our last couple shapes. Whenever you're ready, press yourself up and we'll set you up in a forward fold. And I was just mentioning about the props that the cats were exploring earlier. I know that he has a bit of a posterior tilt to his hips, difficulty rounding forward. So I brought some props for you to sit on top of this.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, so it'll help kind of scoop the bowl of his hips forward so he gets a full rounding forward. I also have blocks here. That's another option, 1 or 2, just depending on where you are in your spine. Does that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another option is we can put that under your knees and put the blocks under your hips. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is good.
Okay.
I just don't have a lot of forward range of motion, so
That's fine.
this is about as far as I can really get.
Okay. So that's another thing. It's not about how it looks. It isn't that way in the hatha or vinyasa practice either. And I feel like that really comes to the forefront in a yin practice. You may look around your yoga studio, around at the other students, and find a person that can just fold in half like a piece of paper. And that doesn't mean that they're doing it better than you, that they're better at yoga. They just have a different range of motion, either because they were born that way or because of, the stresses that they were or weren't subject to as they got older throughout their life. We're born with some things, and then some things we lose as we get older and stress our bodies out. It really doesn't matter how it looks, as long as you feel something. That's all that you need. Because I know this is a big stretch for him. Usually I would keep this about 4 minutes. We're only going to do about 3, I think. So that's about 1 right there. An adjustment that I like to do in class in a forward fold isn't really any pressure, but just some support at the base of the spine so that the person doesn't need to feel like they're holding themselves forward. They can just kind of breathe and settle. And then I'll hold them in that spot they were already in. They can breathe and soften. And I mentioned that the minimum time to be in these shapes is about 90 seconds. It sometimes takes about that long for your body to register what you're doing and to really soften, and especially in a forward fold. I find that after about 90 seconds, I feel my body settling deeper into the shape. And just let head be heavy, round forward. About 1 more minute here. On your next inhale, gently lift yourself up and out of the fold. good to do a little twist. Twists, again, are good neutralizers. Your next and final dual shapes will be twists, but even so. All right. Whenever you're ready, turn around, lie down again, head toward this way, feet toward that way. And open your arms up to a T or a goalpost. Draw your knees in toward your chest and then drop them off to the right side. And I can put this cushion under your, do you want the cushion under or between your knees?
Let's do between.
Okay. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
So in a twist, the key is to keep your shoulders on the floor as your anchor point. Knees may or may not rotate all the way to the side, and that's fine. A couple things you can do: land your knees on top of a bolster or a pillow or some blocks, or alternatively, place a pillow, a bolster, or some blocks between your knees. And again, as a teacher, gentle adjustment you can give. Sit off to the side, one hand to the shoulder, one hand to the thigh, and help along through that twist. Similar to the other two-sided shapes that we did, about 2 minutes per side here. Twists are a really great way to round out a practice. Again, they help neutralize the spine. They bring equilibrium to the nervous system. You can't see her, but there's a cat curling up behind his back right now who will get smushed when he rotates to the other side. That's the end of this side of the shape, so can remove that bolster from between your knees. If you need to make a brief stop at center, you can. And you'll just drop off to the other side. Watch out, babe. She's a silly girl. And again, just like in any other two-sided shape, you may find you have more or less mobility on one side or the other. You may use different props. You may not use them at all from one side to the next. And again, continue to breathe and notice how your body absorbs your breath as it is manipulated into this shape. as you feel ready, release that bolster from between your knees, shift back to center. Take any movements that feel good here. Maybe knees to chest might feel good to kick up into a happy baby. Reach for the outsides of your feet, rock side to side. Can help to land in something symmetrical after the twist. But this is about where I wanted to wrap it up for this yin practice. I used to teach a half hatha, half yin, and this is like my go-to spinal series that I would fit into that last half hour. So if you have time, lie in a shavasana, soak into the floor, soak into your breath, notice how you feel now versus how you felt at the beginning. And thanks for joining us. We'll be back later. Bye.